Welcome to the Don't Have a podcast. My name is Joel Henderson, aka Don Tiva. With me this time, Malcolm, aka Canvas.
CANVAS, gang signs.
Don't do those. We talked about that beforehand, and he's already gone against a few of the rules we set down at the beginning of the podcast. No gang signs.
I didn't know that there was no gang signs. Is that on the door? Is that on the door?
It wasn't on the door. No, I'll put that on the door for next time.
No signs.
Well, so you had to throw some up. I get it. Yeah, I'm with you.
There you go.
There were no signs in the room, so I had to throw some.
I felt like we just needed a little touch up. We may be changing the logo.
Oh, the one that I bothered to put on the screen behind you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because
I'll just put something else in.
Yeah. There you go. Just blur it out.
Yeah, just I'll blur it.
Just blur it in the background. It's a naked lady.
I'll blur it very phallically.
It's a naked lady up there.
Bro, turn your head sideways. I'm just saying.
Right, exactly.
Just if I blur that just right.
Anyway.
Why is it peach?
Okay, so that might be changing depending on like as we're growing, because I think right now we're trying to see if we want to run with like Canvas Entertainment as far as like the entertainment company that houses Canvas, because I want to do the artist thing. I want to be able to have like how Jay-Z has Rock Nation, right? You have
Canvas
Jay-Z.
House isn't bad.
Canvas House?
Yeah.
But I didn't want it necessarily to be built around Canvas necessarily.
Well, you don't have to actually build the house with Canvas.
No, not build a house, but like I wanted to build a collective of different artists.
Bro, that's me in 2014. Like my company was named Comeuppance at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do Comeuppance Network.
Right.
Because I want to take all my friends that are around here that together we were making cool stuff, and I figured we would eventually split off and kind of do our own thing, and they'd be going, hey, I made this thing. I'm like, well, cool, let's feature it on this one channel where everybody who likes our stuff can come to.
Right.
Just never really panned out. I was the only one making stuff.
It's sad. So now here we are. Right?
So now it's Don't Ever.
That's just Don't Ever.
Because that's how often I get
Definitely,
stuff.
yeah. Yep. So like I'm like, all right, dude, because I feel like if we build something together, people are less likely to leave and want to go do their own thing. I think that's kind of the downfall of a lot of companies is it's built around one singular person, around what their vision is, their heart is. But I'm like, no, if we build something together, like everybody feels like they're invested a little bit
what's
more.
your version of together? Like, what does that look like in terms of the I want to say the product, but you know what I'm trying to ask there?
Yeah.
Like, what is say you had like how many people would you like to take on? Like, let's say there's a 5-person version of this.
Right.
What does that look like to you? Like, how does that play out?
Man, to be honest, like I haven't thought it all the way through. So
well, that's what we're doing now.
So I don't know, man. I feel like that's what we're doing now. So like I feel that number one, I think it's just a collective of creators, right? For me, I think whether you're a videographer, photographer,
so not necessarily all music related.
Right, no, because I think so maybe I should start with the vision of kind of what I see for Canvas. For me, I see an entertainment industry. The best way I could say is kind of like restored, maybe. And so what I mean by that is there's a lot right now in the entertainment industry that you'll see, especially in the music, there's a lot of subliminal messages that are whether satanic or demonic, right? And
oh my God, bro, give me an example. I need to know.
Like The Weeknd. The Weeknd just threw up like upside down crosses at his concert. Or Lil Uzi Vert has been one that has been he's been at the forefront of like telling people, hey, we're going to hell together. Welcome to my demon show.
Okay.
Like, right? Like it's not as subtle as it once was. Or
where they thought people were playing their songs backwards.
Right. Remember back in the day,
yeah.
Right? So now you have a lot or even the Sam Smith thing, that was at the Grammys. He had a whole like Satan hat on, horns. It's just a lot of imagery that's there.
Okay.
And I feel that the reason why a lot of people, a lot of artists specifically do that is because they feel that that's the only way to get publicity, to gain following, and to gain...
Kind of like shock stuff, like kind of like Marilyn Manson-ish.
Right. So let's go super dark, and then let's also make fun of this, right? And so it's like, but if you could give a person a different option, a different way, and say, hey, I'm going to say a better way because that's what I believe, but also like you don't have to go down this route. Like I like an artist like Chance the Rapper, who is an independent artist who came out, did his thing, and was like, hey, I don't have to necessarily sell my soul or be this image for people, right? I don't have to be this. I don't have to go and say hell, Satan for me to get money, right? I don't have to do that for my audience. I can still love God, love Jesus, or whatever the case is, and still be an artist that people enjoy. And right now he's on tour with Acid Rap, 10-year anniversary, and still selling out stadiums. And he's an independent artist doing this.
Right.
I don't need a label. No one owns me, right?
I remember seeing him with Childish one time.
Man, right? And so you think, so that's kind of how I feel. Like I just want to bring some light to the entertainment industry, right?
Okay.
That's me as an artist, right? You don't have to do all of that stuff, and you can still be who you are, who I believe God has called you to be, and still be able to make good music, good content, still be able to be going viral. Like,
right.
You don't need to do all that. So that's kind of my vision there. So then to bring people into that vision, like I want to be able to do that, you know, whether you believe in God or not, right? I feel that the more that you're exposed to light, that you'll be able to then hopefully begin to, your life would transform as you see more light come into your life, right? So like for you, with
we're talking kind of karma-ish. Like there was a show, My Name is Earl. I don't know if you ever seen it back in the day.
I saw like episode 1. So
he was a bad dude, like just scummy kind of guy, and he stumbled into winning the lottery. Like he won the lottery, then he lost the ticket.
Right.
All this bad stuff happened. He found the ticket at the end.
Right.
And he made a list of all the bad stuff he'd ever done, and he was going to try to make up for it.
Right.
And so one of the mantras of the show was do good things will happen. Do bad things will happen.
Right. Right.
So I mean, it's essentially that you're hoping for, to lean people more towards the do good things.
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like once again, it's super dark. If you listen to a lot of the music, especially like in hip hop, it's super dark, right? Even, I mean, we got a girl out here singing like, hey, my booty hole brown. Like,
we assumed.
Yes. And so
if it didn't start that way, it probably is at some point during the day.
Definitely. Like, and we don't, like, and my daughter's out here singing it. And I'm like, yo, this is whack. So once again, there's just this thing I see that's missing in the industry. Like there's a lack of, for me, it's a lack of content. I don't think it's hip hop music specifically.
Right.
Right. Hip hop, R&B is starting to be a little bit better now. But yeah, it's just dark in that industry. And so I'm just like, all right, let's just try to bring a little bit more light, a little bit more joy. There was a time where hip hop, though it was aggressive.
Oh, we're talking the 90s. Gangster rap was, I mean, that's my jam right there.
Right.
Which leads me nicely into why I have this. This is as close as I came.
Hey.
I thought it looked cool at the time. And
got yourself a Jesus piece.
Yeah, I got myself a Jesus piece.
God, dog. Okay.
Probably 1998.
That's dripping, bro.
This was right after my No Limit tank.
You got some drip.
I had a No Limit gold tank.
Let's go.
Thing.
Let's go. See. That's my Joel.
And like I went to in like 2001, we lived in Gary for a bit, and I was hanging out with my friend Farah, and her husband Damaris would go to these churches in people's houses.
Yeah.
Like literally a room just a little, like maybe our bedroom size there. And there's just chairs set up in there, and then just somebody standing up at the front talking.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, during one of these, Damaris got up, put his hand up, and walked up to the front, and dude was never the same. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't know what was being said that would have made him think, like I would have felt so awkward. It's like getting up to sharpen your pencil in the middle of class and you're like, everybody's looking at me.
Yeah.
You know, so like to have something that made him do that is interesting. But then like completely like a light switch flipped in him to where he wouldn't even say like hell.
Yeah.
He'd be, oh, hecky no.
Yeah.
Like as we're playing video games and stuff. And it was so interesting to see, but it also caused a huge rift there to where they ended up splitting up because I think he found whatever he was looking for, and she was like, "I'm good already.
Right.
Like I was already good, and
Right.
why are you different now?
Right.
You know?"
Yeah.
And so like it's so interesting how it can affect one person one way, and then
Yeah.
the people around you a different way, and like you can't say that it's not a positive thing,
Right.
but at the same time, look at the wake of it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so like. I guess I've always kind of wondered, like, how does that jive in terms of like who's doing the right thing there? Like what,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Who's the determining factor of what's right?
Yeah, like
Right? What's the right way?
it's so objective, isn't it?
Yes.
Like
So like, all right, so yeah, kind of what I hear is like, all right, like who's the determining factor? So like for me, because of what I believe, like God is the one that determines right and wrong for us, right? So it's not necessarily that's where I get my morale from, is from God,
okay,
right?
your
So that's
morality.
my morality.
Your morale you get from like me telling you to do stuff, and you're like, yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I'm feeling all good
Right.
now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. But my morality, yes, comes from God, and so I kind of look to Him to give me what is right and what is wrong. Because if I believe that if I try to judge it, there's a possibility for me to err, and it could be
Like you're taking in your own personal stuff.
right. And I begin to like my experiences, my upbringing, my background, my relationships could all impact my decisions. And so I never want my decisions to be based upon those things, and then I make the wrong decision.
Right.
Right. And so that's kind of why I look to Him to say like, all right, what does God say about this? Right. So even like with the topic like as big as homosexuality, people
Right.
always try to ask like, what's your take on homosexuality? And I say one of my things that I'm starting to learn now, that as I mature, my opinion is offensive. So no matter what I do, it's going to be offensive to you.
You mean in general?
In general.
Okay.
My opinion to you, giving you my thoughts about this is offensive. Because for me,
Well, I think offense is taken, not given.
Right.
Because I don't think you would be saying anything with that intent. And
Right.
like, unless you're intentionally like trying to provoke and like
Yes.
piss somebody off by saying the
Yeah,
opposite
saying
thing of what they
something.
believe and, you know, that kind of stuff.
So for me, I'm like, I should say it can be offensive.
Right. Well, somebody,
based
you're
upon
not
how
going
you could take it.
you're not going to across the board get a consensus of everyone going, yeah, we
Right.
agree with you.
Yeah, right. So at some point, I'm going to.
So what do you
offend
do with that?
Somebody. And
do
so
you hold that in?
So
or?
no. So what I would tell somebody, like if somebody was like, "Hey man, what's your thoughts on is homosexuality a sin?" And what I would tell them is like, "Hey, listen. Number one, I believe that all sin is sin, right? All evil is evil. Wrong is wrong." What I would admire anybody that has that question to do, what I would advise them to do is go to God. Go to the Bible, see for yourself
Right.
what you see, and then come back and let's have a conversation.
Right.
Because for me to tell you yay or nay, like that's how folks will put you in a box, and then they want to go down this rabbit hole. But if I say, listen, it's not for me to tell you what's right or what's wrong.
Right.
It's up to God. If I believe He's the manufacturer, then the car can't tell the other car what to do. It's like we got to go back to the dealership, and then let's get clarity from there.
Okay, well, that brings me to a question that I actually did have one question I wanted to ask.
Come on, bro.
Okay, so, and again, I'm kind of atheist in general. I'm open to, I guess that's technically agnostic.
Yeah.
Show me anything and I'm in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's with anything in life.
Yeah.
I don't have these firm opinions on stuff just based on random frivolity. I'm not just making shit up and going,
Right.
I'm flipping a coin this one today.
Yeah.
Like it's based on life experience.
Yeah.
So, shit, I totally forgot where I was going with
Yeah,
that. The
I
coin
like
flip.
it. No, go ahead, coin flip.
The coin flip lost me. So what I'm getting at is like, so say there's a God
Yeah.
and he made everything, like with intent, right? Is it not in the same vein of questioning him in other ways to say, well, he screwed up on this 10%? Like, isn't that kind of blasphemous to be like, oh, he was asleep at the wheel?
Right.
I know Jesus took the wheel at some point, but
Right.
I don't think it was.
Take the wheel,
I
Jesus.
don't think it was when he was making gay people.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
Nah.
So like in the fact that it happens in the same percentage in animals, to me that doesn't feel like a slip up. It feels like that was a variation or something like that. You know what I mean?
I
That's
understand.
just where I'm coming from on it. And I don't quite get why it's like we don't question anything,
Yeah.
but this one thing,
Yeah.
we're like, Well, I have a few notes, God.
Right, exactly.
I got a few notes on this model you made here.
No, I think that's a good thing. Like once again,
and I don't think there's any hate behind it. I just don't know how to rationalize that. You know what I mean?
It's
because like either he's the best or he's fallible, and if he's fallible, then it's like, well, then why are we worshiping it? Does that make sense?
You just made a whole bunch of sense, and I wish more people actually thought the way that you just thought. Either A, he is perfect, or B,
or she,
just for biblical purposes, as a Christian, he is always related and called himself he. But so from
just trying to be inclusive.
So from a biblical standpoint,
right.
I
always pictured him as a tall black woman. Hey, I don't know why.
Just so empowered.
Yeah. It's just not something you see often. So it's like, why not?
Tall black woman.
Honestly, I'm not going to take credit for that. One of my teachers said that.
That's hilarious.
In elementary school.
God being a he, if he is perfect, or B, he is, and it's the same argument that I would use with Jesus. When people have a problem with like Jesus and him being the Christ and him dying for sins or whatever the case is, it's like either A, he is Lord, or B, he's a lunatic, right?
Or can I throw up a C?
Throw a C.
Close-up magician?
Yeah, close-up magician.
Sleight of hand magician?
Sleight of hand.
I'm just saying.
Oh, you can't see
look
me.
at that! Look at that water. That's wine now. He had it up his sleeve. Yeah. I'm just saying it's possible.
John Cena.
This is a long time ago.
Man, you can't see me, and now he's.
I went into the cave. Look, it's someone else.
It's someone else. He's not here anymore. Yeah. He's gone.
I'm just saying, that sounds like David Copperfield to me.
Exactly.
And at the time, all I'm saying is we're a long time ago, and the documenting system is not perfect.
There you go.
Somebody might have heard about it.
Sleight of hand.
Wrote some shit down.
I think he rose from the dead.
I'm pretty sure I saw him with those things in his hand, and I'm pretty sure he came back a couple days. Yeah, he was dead.
He was gone.
That dude touched the wounds.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Put his finger in.
Or no, that was after. That was when he came back. I know that from Lost.
There you go. So
there was a religious painting where he was touching the wound, and he had to feel it. Michael, was it?
Yeah, maybe. You're talking about the disciple?
One of them touched his wound because he didn't believe.
Philip.
Okay, it might have been.
Or Thomas, one of those. It's one of those guys. Anyway, but yes, it's those things. It's either A, he's the truth, A, or B, he's a lie.
Right. Is there a middle version where it's like...
It can't, like, okay.
He's somewhat what we think, but maybe we can't... In that whole, we can't understand godly thinking aspect, is it possible that he's like not... Like let's say he's a kid and he's got his own little sandbox.
Right.
Like, in relation to... Because... The thing that always kind of blows my mind about it is where they're like, well, God created the universe. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Who created God? And it's like, well, he was always. And it's like, well, time wasn't always. Mm-hmm. And so, like, there has to be... My brain can't wrap itself around there not being a beginning to something. Like, there can't just...
You're human. That's what your brain's supposed to do. Because you have a time... Everything in the earth has a time.
So we're thinking something like the dude from the Timekeeper or the Watcher.
Yeah.
It's something in that vein is kind of what you're thinking.
Right. Okay, so like
where it's like outside of reality, outside of the universe.
I'm gonna answer the first question of is there a middle ground? And then I'll go back.
Could he be could he just be somebody who's trying to figure it out as opposed to somebody who knows everything and he's trying to fix it? Like in Lost, there's a character that's trying to let people do it the right way.
Lost. Like that's...
Well, because it's
Lost is like your Bible,
dude. It ended up the whole show is about one side is light, one side is dark. It is that
that's
you need
why
to watch
I have to
Lost.
Watch it.
Yes, it is a religious type show. It doesn't focus on religion, but there's an Adam and Eve in the show.
Gotcha.
And then they try to figure out who that was and all that stuff. So
okay, check that out. Okay. Yeah. So to answer the question, can there be a middle ground? If there is a middle ground, I'm not worshiping him. Because middle ground means that you're perfect and imperfect at the same time.
Meaning you're basically human.
Right? If there is a middle ground God, then you're not God. Like, because in my definition of God is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent.
Right.
All powerful, all knowing, eternal, immortal, all those good things, right? And you're perfectly good
Right.
all the time, every single day, just good, right? So for me, if there's ever if there's a gray area in there, you're not God.
Is the gray could the gray area be that he gives little kids cancer and stuff? I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of bad stuff in the world that happens. I'm not trying to be funny there. I mean, I am, but
I like it. Cancer is not a result of God. Cancer is a result of human genetics and.
But isn't it all stuff that like, if we're going to, he made the earth, so he made all of the minerals and all the stuff that's here. He made the people,
Right.
so he created a scenario in which cancer could happen. Does that make sense, or am I saying that wrong?
No, you're
like,
right.
without him, in theory, that none of that could have happened. So either he did everything or he did nothing.
Right. No, he has done everything. However, once again from a biblical standpoint, we believe that he did everything, created everything. And from the creation standpoint, everything that he created, because he is perfect, was perfect.
Right.
Until there was a decision made that I no longer wanted to abide by this.
Who made that decision? Are you saying, like,
so
Adam
we're
and
saying
Eve?
Adam and Eve from that beginning, from creation point, we believe that Adam and Eve were our creation parents, right? They were the first people to be on the earth. Sorry.
Can I sidetrack real quick?
Yes.
How do we all come from two people? Like, what happened in the second generation? That's all I'm asking.
So, of course, you have a lot of questions. You got to let me finish the one.
I'm sorry, because I'll never come back to it.
Yeah, good gosh. Okay, so number one, we believe that God created everything, and because God is good, He created everything good. There was no cancer, there was no sickness, there was no death, there was no murder, there was no malice, there was no lust, there was no pride, there was no arrogance. There was just us and God. There was just perfection.
Right.
Right? Then comes God, because we believe that God loves us. He gave us choice. He gave us free will to choose him or not choose him. Right? And so we, at one point, decided not to choose him. He told us not to do something.
Then he smited them?
He told us not to do something.
That sounds like an abusive relationship.
He told us not to do something. And we did it anyway because we wanted to.
Why did he put the apple tree? Why not just not put it there?
Because it's love, bro.
What's love?
It's love.
I thought it was knowledge.
No, it's love. No, I'm saying the reason why I would put something there. So, like, once again, with your wife, you would want your wife to love you voluntarily, right? Just like, hey, this is
But I'm not going to tease her with a big buff dude. Like, you know what I mean? And, like, have him laying in the bed.
Of course not, right?
And then, like, I'm just going to dip out over here for 6 hours.
Of course not. But you would tell her, hey, don't cheat, right?
Right.
Okay. So you wouldn't come and, like, dangle it in front of her. No. Like, that even sounded weird. Pause.
I would.
Back. All right.
I would.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how I would keep her from
rightfully so. Rightfully so. Okay. No trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted.
Mm-hmm. You see my wanted poster underneath it?
So, like, all right. So, in that case, no, you don't. You would tell your wife, like, if we're in a full-time commitment, don't cheat. Like, that's just part of it. And so, yeah, you wouldn't necessarily be bringing guys in and then telling her, like, hey,
well, no,
cheat.
but isn't that what he did with the tree?
Not necessarily.
By saying this tree in particular, like, he could have not said anything.
Well, no, because once again, you are.
So everything's a test.
It's love, right? It's love. And every time you pass that tree, because we don't know what the time frame was between him putting it in the garden and him not, and like having just everything there, and then putting the tree in the garden for them to be able.
So it wasn't always there. It was like
we don't know. At some point, though, at some point, it's there, right?
I'm guessing like Saturday evening.
Right. Let's say it was Saturday evening. But every time you walk past that tree,
he finished on Sunday and said, "Let there be light." Why didn't he turn the lights on first? Let's get some light. Let me see what's going on here. Flip the light on. Now let's work here.
But walking past the tree every single time is also, it's also like reaffirming my love for him. If that makes sense, right?
Not really.
Okay, I got you. Let me walk it back.
Okay.
So if every time your wife comes home and she doesn't cheat on you, is her also showing you that she loves you and she respects you?
Okay.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
And in the same way, not going to go be with that tree and not taking from that tree and doing something that my husband told me not to do, shows him that I love him every day, right? So when I come home faithfully from a wedding every day and I didn't go sleep with somebody that I could have, I'm coming home and I'm showing, right? I'm showing my wife, number one, I love you. I respect you. I honor you. I don't want to hurt you.
Right.
I want the best for you, and I want the best for me too. Right. So like every time you say no to that, you're saying yes to something. Right. I'm saying yes, that I want to be fully committed. And so that's kind of that's what we believe is like every time that they walked past that tree was them saying and acknowledging, I see that there. I could go get that. I could do that. I could choose not to be in this relationship with God. But I'm going to walk past it today and I'm going to go because God said, hey, man, you can have everything else. There's not this one thing. So really, Adam had everything. Eve had everything. But it was apples. That one thing, right? It's just not the apples, which we don't know if it was an apple or not, but we say it's an apple, right?
Right.
So like, yeah, that's the idea behind that was, hey, God put this here, number one, because he wanted you to have a decision and a choice, right? He didn't just not put it there and then just be like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just let them continue to be perfect. I'm going to continue to let them just be in my presence, let them continually like,
so do they, this may sound like a stupid question, but I don't mean it to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, go.
That's all of that logic and stuff like checks out for us nowadays.
Yeah.
But like, we're talking about brand new people.
Yeah. Right.
So like, wouldn't that be a bit of a complicated like question to ask essentially like a newborn? You know what I mean? Like people that don't have any life experience. It's only the two of them. They've only ever interacted perfectly before.
Right. So that's the thing. Is the human brain.
But like even people don't get that option.
But the human brain at that, once again, going back to everything from a perfected state, right? Like if you went back to everything being perfect, they didn't need all of the experiences that we needed. What they had was the word of God and the presence of God, and they had the love of God, right? Your maker, right? Your creator, doesn't ask for anything from you that he didn't already put in you. Going back to my clip, right? So
I'll put that in here.
He put the brain on the inside of the human to be able to think, to be able to rationalize, comprehend, because he gives Adam, he says, I give you dominion over the earth. I'll let you name the animals, do all of those. So there is some cerebral like intelligence that's there.
Right.
Because
well, that's why I was asking. I didn't know if
you
it
know
was
what I'm saying? Like, no, so they're not like.
You see like a clone of an adult.
Man.
Well, no, you see like a clone of an adult.
Right.
You know, and it's like, oh, well, now they have no human experiences, so now they don't know how to walk, all that stuff.
I'm thinking a perfect human body, whatever that looks like.
What are they speaking?
Well, geographically, it looks like that.
Are we talking Pangea?
Right. It looks like that Eden was somewhere near the African.
Right.
Right. The African continent. Right. Because look at where the Bible is kind of even written from, that geographical location. You got Egypt. You got Jerusalem. You got a lot of places that are over there. So, but however, I think that once again, from a perfected state, they had the intellectual ability to, number one, be able to comprehend things, right? They knew what was good in the sense of they knew what was good because God was good, right? They had no real, you're looking at that like it's...
No, I was just making sure that it was still recording.
Okay,
yeah, no,
all right. They had no real understanding of evil because there's no evil in God.
Well, they were coddled at that point. Like and I don't mean that in a bad, like if you don't know of something, how can you know of it?
Right.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, things happen. We end up just disobeying God.
Right.
Right. And so then, yes, that's what now. And so then when you go back to the cancer issue, cancer for me is a result of the downfall of humanity from that point. Right. That's what I believe, is that as humanity begin to multiply, as we begin to do those things, the more we opened ourselves up to disease, to murder, to malice, to hatred, to racism, to those, like, as humanity kept producing and as things kept growing, and there were people in biblical times that did not want to obey God and all of those things, right? So that, for me, opened up the door to a lot of the dysfunction that we see, because we were never created for dysfunction. We chose dysfunction.
Well, but it seems like the option was there. Like we had an A or a B choice. So I think we were in this scenario, we would have been created for that option. But the idea would have been we would prefer this, but this isn't also. This can happen. Less ideal scenario, but
But in order for there to be, once again, true love, for me, really showing love, is always having the ability to choose, right? And so for me, like that's what makes me feel like America's super great, even though we have our issues, is that we do have more freedom and liberty to choose than a
Right.
lot of other countries. And for me, though America has not always been good to my people, however, I do feel like we are loved because we have the choice now to be able to do things, right?
Right.
And so because I have the ability to choose whether or not, like people could choose whether they want to be gay or like straight or they want to be man, woman, like you have the ability to choose, which is also why I believe that we as Christians have done a bad job in like representing God because we are always trying to tell you about the problem, right? Oh, you're gay, so you're going to hell,
Right.
right? Or you sin, you're an adulterer, like you're going. So now because of that, God, God loves you, but you got to get your life together. And instead of pointing people towards the problem, I always want to point them towards a person, right? Like get the people to Jesus first and let Jesus be. Because if you look at me, you look at my life, I'm a failure at some point, Joe, right? Like at some point I'll have a moral failure. I'll do something that's going to disappoint
Yes,
you.
he did this podcast.
So like at some point I'm gonna mess up. And so I don't want you to necessarily look at me. I want you to look at Jesus because if Jesus was the most perfect person to walk this earth since Adam, then that's the person that I want to point people to. Your pain, we can only get so far with exposing people's pain and their issues and their problems. Like
Right.
we can only do so much there. No, let me actually get you to the person that can actually help, that I believe that can help you.
Right.
So that's a lot. I don't know where we were.
Well,
with that,
I think
but
what we were trying to get to was like, and you made some good points in there, but what I kept hearing was that like, you hear that pay for the sins of the father kind of thing.
Yes.
To me, that still doesn't justify it in like a little 3-year-old girl who's never done anything wrong. You know what I mean? Like if that is if you're saying the choices for, that's another discussion, but if you're like, why wouldn't he have the choice then to not do that? Like, why is he trying to teach Adam and Eve a lesson? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the logic for punishing a little girl or a little kid that's sick, that's never done anything wrong, and deserves a life as much as anybody? Like, to me, that's where I have a hard time. And just like all the bad stuff that happens that's not caused by another human, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, perfect sense. I get that. People drifting further away from good morality.
Yeah, for sure.
That makes perfect sense to me. But the innocence.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's always a hard part, bro. Like, and there's no way to even explain that, right?
Because
like,
in theory, couldn't he stop it?
for sure,
Like, so.
for sure. But here's the beautiful part about it. It's not can he stop it. It's will he stop it.
Right, but no is the answer for the most part.
Can is definitely, yeah. Like he has the power
Well,
to do
right,
something.
but
will
that's
he
my
stop
point.
it?
Doesn't it seem kind of like a jerk then to not being willing to stop it?
And
If he had
so-
that, how much effort would that take? Really?
It would
really?
take for God? Absolutely not.
Less than a finger snap.
He wouldn't even blink his eye.
So to
Cancer
me,
be
that
gone.
feels a little like a lack of empathy for people that are supposed to like worship you blindly. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that feels a little cold
Well, I
for
wouldn't
somebody
say-
that I'm supposed to like be like, you're the dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that you would worship him blindly. Like in scripture, there are those that are blind, and then there's those that have been woke. But like when I follow God, it's not necessarily because I. All right, so let me back up and let's answer that question because I think that's the biggest one. Is like, why does God allow evil to
Right.
happen? Right.
Well,
Why
that's not even evil. That's
Oh.
just, bad things to good people.
right.
Like,
Right.
evil feels more like this guy went and slashed somebody's
I feel
throat.
like
you know what I mean?
cancer is pretty evil. I feel like it's wicked.
Fair enough. I
Right.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, like okay, even if you didn't say that, even if you just said it was bad, right? Like if we because of the way in which we are built and the way in which your logic works, my logic works, we identify good and bad from these particular things, right?
And like their outcomes and stuff too.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how we see things. And this is the part where then God becomes a little bit outside of logic for us. And this is the part where it gets weird because what we see is like, God, that's bad. That's wicked. And God is like, yeah, I know. That is, to see a 3-year-old have to go through that, or a newborn have defects, be born, premature, like all of those things. Once again, but it's not necessarily a result that God is not still there, that God is not good. It's just, once again, it is the fallen state in which we are in. And this is why we need God, because if the story does not end there, and we don't always live like this, and we won't always be like this,
Wait,
and
what do
there
you mean
is,
if the story doesn't end there?
if the story doesn't end with the 3-year-old just having cancer and dying, and then that's it,
Right.
if there is an eternity that that particular baby is going to spend with God, and in the next life that we believe that we will have as believers, that that body that she had will be perfect, and that she'll be able to walk and live the life that God wanted her to live.
Would she then age?
No, because in that sense, we'd be
But
perfect.
isn't that weird though? Like
Logically, yes.
So let me ask
if
you
you're
this.
talking
So like,
about an immortal state of being, that there will be no sickness, no death, no disease.
I know, but like the parents, like say the parents live to 90.
There won't be
and
any
they
parents.
die. No, her parents.
Oh, okay. I got you.
This little girl dies.
Yes.
She's waiting as a
Yeah.
little toddler,
Yeah.
and now the parents are 95. When they
Yeah.
come up there, would they look 95?
I
Or
don't
do you
believe
get to
that.
be your prime state?
Yeah, there's no time in that realm. I don't believe so. Like, maybe there will be. Maybe there'll be a new time. Who knows what's like the next part of it? We know from what Scripture tells us that there'll be a new earth, there'll be a new heaven.
Does that, like, somebody was talking about living forever. I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes.
And he was like, why would you want to live forever? Because then what would be your motivation to get out of bed every day? Does that impact you in any way as a believer, in as much as, well, I have eternity?
Right. Well, and so I think what people usually, they are looking at eternity, they look at it from a standpoint of a place. And once again, instead of a person.
No, eternity as in forever.
Right.
That's all I mean.
But
like
forever,
you have
where,
forever,
though? Right? Because eternity, there's from a biblical
well,
standpoint.
just in that you're going to live forever kind of
Yes,
sense.
right.
In that sense,
you either live forever, burn forever. It's kind of like the reality, right? And so the reality of being able to have unbroken fellowship with God, as going back to the standpoint of Adam, there's no feeling of. I mean, I guess you could say, "Hey, man, I'm tired of this." But why?
No,
would you...
I'm sorry, I asked the question wrong. What I mean is, do you find yourself like, I have forever to get something done? Like, I know it's not going to impact you as much as the original example, but like,
Right.
do you find yourself going, well, I'm having a hard time asking the question.
Yeah.
Like,
Just the thought,
in the
of
same
forever.
way of living forever, what's your motivation to get stuff done? Because I can do it in a year. I could do it in 20 years. You have eternity. So does that impact your day-to-day
I see
in
what
any
you're
way?
saying.
Do you get what I'm saying
I
now?
see what
Like,
you're
does that
No.
motivate or not motivate you? Like, whereas like, oh, I might have done more if I knew I'm going to die at 50.
Right.
And that's the end. It's
Right.
going to be like the billions of years before me. It
Yeah.
was pitch black. That's all. I
Yeah.
don't remember anything.
Yeah.
It's going to be that. Would that change how you lived your life? If you knew for a fact, I'm going to die at 50 and there is no afterlife. Like, does that change Malcolm on a day-to-day?
If and that's a big if. If there was no afterlife, and if I knew I was going to die at 50, I don't know. I can't answer that with like an acceptable yes or no, only because I feel like my thoughts would be like, yeah, I would still want to get up and go to school and still want to get up
Right.
and
But
like,
that's what I'm saying.
not
Like,
be a
so is
like,
it that carrot that's dangling that keeps you motivated? Or
yeah.
not?
So for me, right, it's the thing of understanding that, number one, I'm not perfect at any point of my day, of my life. The 30
Right.
years that I've been on this planet, I have never been perfect. And so and I know that I have my own issues, right? Like, I get prideful. There's times I get lustful. There are times that I want to cheat, times that I want to lie. Like, there's a what we call as a nature or behavior that we have as human beings, the human nature,
Right.
right? That no one has to teach me how to lie. No one teaches me how to cheat. No one teaches me how to do those things.
But racism is taught.
Yay, right? So certain things that I innately come to this earth, I call it my default setting. When I come to this earth, when I come to this world, I have a default setting that I have that's anti-God, that's anti-Christ. It comes in and I know you're going to.
I'm just curious what you mean. Yeah.
It's anti-God. It's sinful.
In what sense?
It's wicked.
Like, you as a baby?
Yes.
Like, why would you be sinful? Like,
Yes.
I guess. What does
Not
that mean?
necessarily. See, when you're going back to like the innocence of a child, but we're
Right.
talking about humanity. We're not just talking about like the sinfulness of a child, right? Even as a child, we're still selfish. Babies are the most selfish human beings of all,
Right.
right? Because everything's about them. They need them, and it's because that's kind of how they need to grow, right?
Right.
And as they grow, then that baby no longer is that innocent child anymore. Now they're doing things, right? They're writing on walls and
Right.
they're like smacking kids at kindergarten
Right.
and kindergarten. And so like, yeah, so like
Yeah.
that, but you didn't have to teach that baby those things. Sometimes those things are just kind of innately there, right? And as they continue to grow as a teenager, you start seeing other things that like, man, when you're a kid, you didn't
Now, are you
do.
thinking that's more society or just like them being exposed to society?
I
Because
think-
like if you take a kid and put them in a padded room
Right,
for their whole life,
right. Yes.
they're not going to inhibit
Yeah.
some of those things.
Mentally,
So a lot
they're
of
not
it
even
is
going to develop
Yeah.
properly. I think once again, like that's what I'm saying. Like, and even for babies, that's why we believe once again as Christians that like things that happen to the innocence of a child, like if a baby dies, like we believe they automatically get a pass to heaven, right?
Right.
Because they number one,
Well, they didn't do anything wrong, and if that's
Okay.
if that's the determining factor, then yeah,
right. You know what I'm saying? By default, like you haven't even lived.
you already
life.
gave them cancer. Let them in the
Oh
gate.
my gosh. That's so messed up.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
But he didn't give it. That's the
Because
problem.
he could say no.
That's the problem.
He could not let him in.
He did not give cancer. Cancer is once again a result. It's not a created thing that came along with the package of the default setting. So that's once again it's what I believe. It's a result of something that happened. This breaking of relationship with God caused us to have this downward spiral that then begin to build all of these things, AIDS and all of this other stuff that we have, right? Like God didn't come with your default setting to be murder, right? Like just wasn't that. That's something that happened as a result of not having God. And so that's what we believe. Even when you talk about evil is just for me the absence of God. It's the absence of good.
So do you think that people can't be good without God?
Absolutely.
I don't know what that answer
I'm
meant.
sorry. Absolutely. I believe that there are no good people.
You don't think people can be good?
No. I don't believe that there is a such thing as a good person. I believe that there's a good God.
Good God, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. There's a good God, not human.
Right, but
Someone
if we broke from him and all that stuff, then what does he have to do with it at this point? In terms of the people who aren't having a relationship with him, why does that have any impact on whether they're good or not? Like say somebody never heard of religion, but they know the morality of the stories of it. Is that not enough? Like,
No.
do they have to have the fear of burning forever?
No, it's not the fear of burning. It's really the fear of the Lord, which is once again.
But what's the only thing he can do to you?
That's reverence. And so like for me, it's just about once again honoring the manufacturer.
It just feels very like if you don't play by this, then you're gonna smite you, and it feels very like narcissistic.
It feels like yeah. Hey,
This is my house.
I created you, and as the owner of this creation, that I should get to choose what happens with the creation, right?
But I thought we had choice.
You do.
Whose
You
choice?
have a choice.
I thought you said he gets to decide what
He does,
happens.
right? Like, because he has intellect.
Yes, he
does
decided
this.
now you get cancer.
No, he does not. He allows cancer. Yes, he allows it.
Right.
And he allows evil, right? He allows the person to murder somebody. Like, he allows it.
Or it's just happening, and it's all evolution, and it's just the natural state of the world, and there are people that are looking to be better. And
But then
that's
once
good, too.
again, then if you like, once again, that's why. So like, if we go that route, then it's like really, once again, what is the point of like existing if there's no alternate ending of this?
to
if there's
live.
no...
This is our like. I look at it more like. I feel like the dichotomy of heaven and hell was somebody describing their experience on earth when they were living. And it's more the ups and downs of life. And like, you're going to have good times, you're going to have bad times, and then you get what you get.
Right.
You know, because I don't want to live expecting, because like, how bummed are you going to be if it's not that? Like, you wouldn't be bummed because you just wouldn't exist anymore.
But flip that. Flip it.
Hey, bro, deathbed repentance. Look,
No, I'm
here's
just saying.
Here's the other
I'm saying,
option.
but flip it.
You don't think that God knows, if there's a God up there,
Yeah.
you don't think that regardless of me going to his buildings and stuff like that, he would know that I'm a good person. Like,
But
to
once
me,
again,
that's silly.
you're still trying to define yourself as good, though.
Well, I'm
And
saying as
that's
opposed to doing a bunch of bad shit. Like
right.
somebody trying to make good choices, that feels like enough. If you're able to do a deathbed repentance and say, I'm sorry, I
I don't
apologize for
necessarily think
everything.
it's a good choice. I think it's a different choice.
What is?
Like you said, if a person's trying to make a good choice, and it's like, no, I think you just made a different choice than that choice, right? Like, once again, I'm saying that I don't believe Joel is good. I don't believe that Malcolm is good. I believe we are inherently evil.
Right.
I believe we're inherently sinful. We're inherently selfish.
You said inherently wrong
Sorry, my
three
bad.
times.
My bad. Inherently,
Inherently.
right? Inherently selfish, inherently prideful,
He knew to hit it again.
inherently lustful. And so because of those things, we are in need of a savior that can save us from ourselves.
But isn't the goal of that to just make better choices? Like in the practicality of your day-to-day life.
Yes. If you're saying,
so then why is that different than somebody who's not just having the person at the top that they're trying to do it for? What if they're doing it for themselves and the people around them?
Because it's the creation trying to operate outside of its intended purpose.
Well, but I'm pitching it from the other side where it's not relevant.
You're talking about the create.
No, I'm saying just people that don't have religion. And,
right.
But their goals in life are to do good for them and the people around them.
Right.
Like, how is that different than somebody because they read it in a book saying, well, now I'm going to do this for God?
Because once again, the creation, which is what you're talking about, the creation trying to say, well, I'm still a good person. And once again, the creation is now trying to operate outside of the manual to go do something that the actual creation feels that I'm a good person because I do X, Y, and Z. Right. And so,
well, then if it's a constant moving goalpost, what's the point?
But it's not constant.
But I'm saying you're trying to do good things, and that's what you're doing with religion. So why can't that be enough in the sense of other people doing it that way too? Why is that not
the way in which you're wording it is weird because you're saying that you're doing good with religion. And it's not necessarily religion.
No. What I mean is you're taking the religious beliefs and you're applying that to your life to do better at life, right? Like, isn't that the idea? You, like you said, if you have a question, you'll go read what God said about it,
right?
And then you'll adjust your behavior accordingly.
Right. Yeah.
So if somebody's doing that just on regular morality,
how would they know? How would they know? I guess, what is good and what is not based upon.
Well, but that's not an argument because you don't know. All you're saying is I'm believing what some human wrote in a book. That's not knowing.
For sure.
That's like me saying, I read a book on Tetris and so I know Tetris. I mean, like, you know what it was written, but you don't know where that came from.
Well,
like, you can't prove where it came from.
Well, so just because I can't prove it does not necessarily mean that it's not present.
No, but it's not a valid. You can't use that as an argument to say I'm only doing good for God because God said it's good and that kind of stuff, and then say people outside of that have no knowledge of it can't be trying to be good people.
I don't. Well, once again, that's why. So
then what's the point? You either you're in the club or you're a bad person.
I mean,
I don't understand. Genuinely,
that's exactly what it is.
But that's lame as hell. Nobody wants to be in that club.
Well, because you're
shaming people
because you feel that way.
Yeah.
But feelings aren't truth.
Right.
Yeah, they're factual, but they're not truth.
But nothing you've told me is factual. All you've told me is stories. Like, nothing is like a fact that you could show me.
Your feelings are a fact, right?
The way I feel, yeah,
the way
sure.
you feel a fact. But that doesn't make it true.
Right. And neither does a book.
However,
so then why is that the morality barometer?
Because once again, you're saying from a standpoint something.
I mean, Jesus was Jewish.
Let me finish. And then you can come on jumping in. So when you talk about it's lame, why is it lame?
Because it's like you're trying to get into the yachts club and you don't have enough money, so you can't buy a nice enough yacht to be accepted by the boys. When I tried to marry Michelle, you know the hoops they wanted me to go through because in their mind I wasn't Catholic.
That's personal experience. But why do you feel like it's lame? Because you feel like you get to choose, but you don't like the choice that's been given to you. The options that have been given to you.
Yeah, it's not a good enough. It's not a good enough option. It doesn't provide anything to my life. Mm-hmm. I can still be as good as a human can be by just being. it's not giving me anything. So yeah, I don't see the upside for that. I wouldn't want to choose to be in a club where there's a lot of judgment and like be curious, not judgmental. And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of the religion that I've come across is more judgmental than anything. And it's people that
I
are
hear
saying the stuff. The people is where it got ruined.
I hear what you're saying. The goal is not to be good. The goal is to know God,
Well, but that's not my goal. I don't have that goal.
which is fine.
So then, real question: what, from your point of view, what should somebody like me's goal be then? If it's not to be with God,
It's to know God.
but that's not. I'm asking you for another goal. Like
There's,
what?
but you're asking me to give you another option, and I'm telling you that from
Well, I'm
my
just saying it's
perspective,
not an option I'm going to choose because it's not something that makes any sense to me.
copy
So
that. But even if you entertain the idea,
I
once
have.
again, if you entertain the idea, right? Once again,
My
like you
parents
said,
took us to church growing up, and my mom. You
Doesn't-
know why my mom stopped going to church?
doesn't matter. We're talking about Joe right now, right? That yes, that was an experience, but you're a grown man. Now you have an option. You have a choice.
Oh no, I was telling
right?
you her why she chose not to go, not
I
me.
don't want to hear about your mama not going to church. This is about you.
What?
Right? So once again,
Oh, I was just making an analogy, but fair enough.
I'm just saying, like, because when you start doing this, like, we're not going to get anywhere. So I want to make sure that we stay on one topic. So you said, hey, number one, why do I get to choose, but the option that you're giving me sucks?
Yes.
Right? Let's stay there. So I said, with what we believe in, right? Because of what we believe, that God is the goal is not to be good. The goal is to know God. And if you said, hey, well, I don't want to know him. So what would a person like me? So that's why I was like, I don't know where you're going with your mama. So because I was trying to.
Oh no, it was that was more on the people messing up religion part of it. The morality I have no problem with.
Gotcha.
It's the
people.
It's yeah. When people, I had a buddy who was told when he was young, God doesn't love you because you have long hair.
It's whack.
Yeah.
That's whack.
That's whack. That's people.
Yeah.
That's nothing
sure.
to do with what was written down.
Right.
That's some dude deciding.
Being a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, once again, and that's why I said that, like, for me, that's why I love having our relationship, because I don't care how long your hair is, right?
Why would that matter? I'm looking
Doesn't
more and
matter.
more like Jesus.
You look great. You're a sexy man, but like slow-mo. But and the reason why I continue to be in relationship with you is not based upon you don't want to choose God, right? Like that's not why I love you. That's not why I like you. Like I love you because that's what I'm conditioned to do now that I have a new nature, that I have a new.
It's because of the evil.
It's because you know what I'm saying, like. And I love you just as a person, just as a human being. I love everything that you bring to the table
Right.
for our relationship.
So
like,
it's an unachievable goal beyond
beyond
whatever
God.
you're imagining.
Beyond, yes. If you want to say imagining, yes.
Well,
beyond.
I mean, is there something tangible to it?
I think that once again, you're trying to.
I'm saying to your relationship with him, with God. Is there something tangible to it, or is it just a feeling?
No, there's. Okay, so when you mean tangible, what do you mean? Give me an example.
I mean, show me something. Like,
but that's the thing.
like here's this is a napkin.
But can I show you love?
Yes. Why can you not show me love?
How do I show you love?
The
Can
way
I put it in a
the way
bottle
you
and give it
treat
to
me,
you?
the way you act towards me.
Exactly.
Right. So, but there's nothing going on. You're deciding that somebody's acting that way in your head. Like I'm just saying,
But
reality
based
wise.
based upon what you feel, based upon what you know, right? Like you would know someone loves you by what? By the way they treat you, by the way they honor you, by the way they respect you,
Yes.
by the way. So there
Physically.
are evidence. But once
Here,
again, you
like-
can't put love in a bottle and physically give it to somebody, right?
But that doesn't mean it's not a product.
Thank you. Doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. Because you
What?
can't physically put him in a bottle and give it to somebody.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean, because you just said that. You just said that it
I
doesn't.
said if we're talking about love. That's not the same thing.
But if God and love are both things that you cannot put in a physical bottle and give to somebody, does not necessarily mean.
Wow.
Are
That's a stretch, but
Is
sure.
it a stretch?
Yes, because you can show somebody how you love them. You can
Yes.
demonstrate love to people. So show me anything that God has demonstrated to you actually, as opposed to just, I felt this way about something.
Okay,
That's all I mean.
So like all right. See, because I don't like this. I don't like this particular debate because once again, we're going to always come back to this. Show me something in order for me to believe
right.
it.
It's the equivalent
Right.
of just going, I don't have an answer, so we'll move on.
Yeah, for sure. But for me, it's not just about not having an answer. I have an answer. You're just not going to like the answer, no matter how I give it to you.
Right,
right?
because it's based in opinion, and I was
But
trying to get more to the fact of it.
if we are talking about, once again, opinion, my opinion is offensive. But if it is factual and it
Why
is
is your opinion
true,
offensive?
if it is true,
Only the choice of gay. That's
if
the
it
only
is
one.
if it is true, I have gained everything. If it's not true, I've lost everything.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Sure. What do you mean?
So in the sense of we're talking about if God could
Oh, if it didn't exist,
if God
and
didn't
then at the end
exist,
your life's over.
yeah,
What did you lose
I
though?
didn't lose anything.
Right.
But if this is real,
Uh-huh.
if God is real, if there is a heaven, if there is a hell, then I've lost everything, right?
But isn't it a just in case? Like, what? I guess my question is, why do you have to be so? I guess I don't understand the rules in terms of like,
Why do you have to choose him?
why does it have to be that as opposed to just
Any other
living a good
religion?
life? Like,
Because
you
once
know,
again,
that seems like
we're going back to this good thing, and you still believe that you're good because you do
no,
a
I
bunch
don't
of.
believe I'm good. I'm just saying you can either try to do good things or try to do bad things. And by trying to do good things, if there's somebody up there that's watching his creations, he's going to go, that one's trying to do good things. I've never talked to him before, but I see every second of his life.
For sure.
I've seen how he lives.
For sure.
I feel like that would be a spiteful person to then, or a spiteful being to then say,
Because
you did all this stuff. You were helping little kids with cancer. You got rid of it. You know, you fought against me.
because you're talking about, once again, you're talking about like performance, right?
Performance?
Yes. You're saying you did a bunch of things.
I'm just talking about living. I don't know what other terms to use to make that, you know,
But
to not.
you're still like, well, I did a whole bunch of stuff, so then I
My
should
choices were good. They were in the vein of trying to do the right thing, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you think that person would still be punished at the end?
I don't know.
That seems unfair.
I know the person that does not confess Christ and believe that Jesus is the only way to God. Yes, that person is going to spend eternity in hell. That's not my words. Those are the words of Scripture. And so, when you talk about, hey,
We used to not let black people vote and like be free. Does old shit mean that we should just keep doing it that way?
I mean, if that's what you decided to do, but you know what? And I'd still be a believer.
I just think that just because something's been done a certain way for a long time is the worst reason to keep doing it.
Yeah, but you're talking about something that's, once again, I'm talking about something that's eternally good. So if it's eternally good, I'm not going to just be like, well, it's always good. We need some changing up, and like, let's just shift this whole thing up, and like, let's shake it up and let's get some evil in here. Like, no.
You ever hear of somebody did an experiment where they said, we can put you into this flotation tank and we can pre-program it. So when you get in, you'll know you got into it, but once you get in, you will have the perfect life. Like everything you could have ever wanted, all the good stuff, no bad, etc. Yeah. And they determined that nobody would get into it because they'd rather have a real life than a fake life. And I just thought it was interesting because it's like, yeah, everything great. But then the person they were asking started questioning it and going like, well, but then, so wait, so my girlfriend's always going to be at home? She's never going to have to go to work? Like, they're like, no, she'll be there exactly the amount of time you want her to be there. Like, so looking for problems in a perfect scenario. So it's just like, I guess.
But that's our nature. That's the nature.
Yeah.
The nature is to always find, like, we're prone to that.
To find the good, yeah.
Yeah, to find the wrong. It's not about finding, because they didn't have a problem with the good life. They just didn't want to live a life that was good and perfect.
Wait, who? Who are we talking about?
You're talking about I thought we were talking about the same people. You said that they had a pod that you put people in and you can have a perfect life.
Oh, yes, yeah. Sorry, I lost it there for a second.
I'm like, dude, stay with me,
You said
bro.
them. I'm like, wait, who? I was like, is he talking about Adam and Eve again?
Squirrel.
Yeah.
No, if like they didn't choose a perfect life. It's a little sad. Not because they wanted, for me, like, I would even question, like, well, what's the definition of a real life? It's like, getting to choose, which you have the option to do. No one is here forcing your hand to do anything. However,
I guess I've been led to believe that the word good means something else. That's my genuine takeaway from this conversation.
But if you don't,
because there's no point in trying to be a good person by your standards.
Thank you. Pointless. Okay, so check it out. So I mean, out of all of this pod, one of the things I want you to walk away with, if you were going to put something in your back pocket and just like once again ponder on, you don't have to, But I want you to ponder on that the goal of Christianity was never to be good. It was always to know God. And that's the whole premise.
Right,
Like,
but it feels like it feels like when I say I'm trying to be good, you're like, yeah, that's not good.
it's not
But
though.
it is good.
But based upon human
Yes,
and
I'm not
yes,
talking in a
right?
godly sense. I'm not talking by going by those rules. I would rather try to be a good person than a bad person.
Right.
And I feel like that should be enough.
Based upon morality of
Yes.
human, yes, I get you.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. That's
But
all I'm saying.
once
And I
again by
think God would
definition,
understand that. I think that if he was looking at it, I don't think he would be as nitpicky as people are about it.
well, if you
He made us
decided
all.
that
We are his kids
if
after all
you
in this
yeah,
scenario.
for sure in this scenario, yes,
And you're
you're his
forgiving of
kid.
your kids. You want them to grow and learn
For
and
sure, but if your kid
make good
continues
choices.
if your kid continues to, and I think you know this, and I know this, your kid continues to rebel against you. At some point, you're out on your own, right? You
I
do your own
don't. I
thing.
mean, I would have thought
There's not a
so.
level of forgiveness. That's the question. It's okay. You don't want to not abide by my rules, but you're choosing not to love me back in a way.
I've tried the giving up method. Honestly, like Lena had some bad years,
Mm-hmm.
and I've tried the giving up method. Didn't work as well
Mm-hmm.
as just staying there, being supportive and helping. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, no, there is no point where it's like you're out, go.
Right. Okay. And maybe
Because it is my kid. You know
Yeah.
what I
Maybe
mean?
I reverse that. Right. Oh, and that's beautiful because now now you're displaying the same love of God. God has never kicked us out, right?
Out of the garden, right?
Out of the garden, but not out of relationship with Him. Like if you wanted a
But
relationship,
why
with,
does he think that's what everybody wants?
hold on.
That's a weird thing. That's
Hold
very
on.
like,
Hold on.
go on.
He does not force you into relationship.
Well, but you're acting like that's the be all end all of
I'm
life.
not. Because for me, I'm not acting. I believe that.
Right?
So don't be offended that I believe that. But
No,
I'm saying,
I just don't see why that's a carrot that I would want to go after.
because once again, from based upon what I believe,
Yeah.
the manufacturer is the person that gets to determine how I function. How do I go? How do I live? What do I believe? And what do I look? And how do I see things? So that's all I'm going based off. It's the manufacturer. I'm not going based upon feeling, not going based upon logic. I'm going based upon what I believe that I know about God, what I've
Right.
seen God do in my life. And you say, well, how can you see God?
Well, and what you've read in the book.
Not just what I've read, but also what I've experienced. What I believe is that if I am here and I have a purpose and I have creativity, I have all of this charisma, all of these things that I'm put on this earth for purpose, right? I feel like that's what I'm here to. I'm here to do something. And so once again, I'm looking back to the manufacturer to say, what is the function of this vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
What does it do? What are all the bells and whistles? Where can I go? What can I not go? Like what gas to put in there? All of those things. You say, okay, for a person who believes in God, show me something. And I say, bro, look around. Right?
What?
Like,
But you could say it's nature.
But you would say it's nature. But once again,
Yeah.
nature has a beginning and has an end.
Yeah.
Where did that? Once again, and then we'll go through this loophole. But I'm just giving you this.
I mean,
Let
we
me
can
finish.
go to the
Let me
science
finish.
version of Big
Let me
Bang,
finish.
but
Let me finish. From what I believe, you go back through all of those things, you will end up right back at God. From what I believe, you may not believe, you may not agree with that, but from creation and how intelligent our world is, and yes, it's dying, but as intelligent as it is, there's certain things that we logically, scientifically cannot explain, and those things
right.
we
I
go,
can't envision a world where a creator created parasitic wasps with the express intent of getting into fish and laying their eggs, and like some of it is too crazily detailed,
right.
that it's like it just kind of happened.
Right. And you're okay with that because it's physical. It's something that we do know exists.
Right.
Right. So
And
you're
you can
okay.
do tests on it and
Your
things
brain,
like that, and
right.
you can go. Well, the thing I like about science stuff is that we could have believed something for 100 years, but then a new piece of information comes in, and we go, "Oh,
For sure. We were dumb.
let's factor that in
We
now."
were stupid.
Yeah, we didn't know
didn't
enough.
know, right.
Now we're learning, we're evolving. It feels very much like with the stuff in the Bible and stuff like that. It feels like, well, that was thousands of years ago,
Right.
and we've not moved on from it. I know there was a second testament
Right.
or a New Testament, but where's the third book? It's
Right.
like the Casper Slide sequel. Where's the third one?
it ain't
Where's
coming.
something that aligns a little bit more towards the modern day?
I got a question for you. If all of those things came to pass,
All of what things?
You said, let's say if we get a third book, let's
Right.
say, let's say if Jesus came down to earth and literally walked through that door,
Right.
would you still want to choose him?
Would I
Choose
want
to be in a relationship with him? If
I
he
don't.
said, Joe, the only way
I gotta be honest. It depends how he acts.
the only
Because there's a lot of people that I don't want a relationship
if-
with because of how they act.
okay, well, what
If he came in all smug, like I'm back, bitches. Yeah.
Hey, that would be.
I mean, that would be awesome. I'd give him nucks. I was trying to be offensive, but
I'd get a shirt.
this other back, bitches.
Yes, I get a shirt.
But then now we're talking in my realm where it's like, okay, yeah, no, there's a person, there's something that I can see. There's something that I can ask questions to, and it could give me answers beyond just like, well, it is that.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm open to anything. I'm not shut down. It'd be great if they came out in a week on TV and was like, oh, God exists. We found him.
He's here.
He's here. And
Right.
they're doing a really bad interview. He's mic'd up like this. You know what I mean? Like,
This is like dropping because he's spirit.
Yeah.
Like, that's, no, okay.
but but beyond that, I have a hard time with just, as somebody said to do this, so do it. And it's like, well, why? And
Right.
if the logic behind it is solid, I'm in.
Right.
But if it's like the choice, the gay choice thing, or even the trans thing, like, to me, you're taking people who have what you would consider an easier life. You and I have a relatively easy life. I have an easier life than you, I'm assuming, because
For
I'm
sure.
white.
You got it.
But I'm just saying, like, taking all those factors into consideration, would you choose to be black?
Absolutely.
Like, if you were day one and you got the choice knowing everything about it now.
Absolutely. Because for me,
Because it made you.
yeah, well, the color doesn't define me. You know what I'm saying?
But not to you. But out in society, it can be the difference between you getting shot in a traffic stop and not.
But
That's all I mean. I'm saying, so why would you choose the harder route? I think the choice would be, can we just make it where everybody is viewed equally? But from the actual practical standpoint, so I'm using that analogy to say, why would anybody choose especially back in the 90s, like, it was the most anything but gay. Just let me be anything but have somebody call me gay.
Well, yeah,
you know what I
that.
mean? Like,
Yes.
it was the worst thing societally. Like, you just couldn't let me be anything but that.
Yeah.
To where it's more accepted now, but it's still something that causes issues with where if family doesn't accept them, or if, you know what I mean? Like, all those things. There's a lot of, you're opting into a lot of heartache and a lot of problems. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's a good or bad choice. I'm simply saying if that's the idea that they're choosing it, why would anybody choose the trans thing? That would be such an upheaval of your life. To try to deal with people around you. Like, imagine if your daughter all of a sudden is a boy.
But that's
like,
just,
that's gonna be,
for me, that's just society, like, pressuring, right? That's like for me, that's.
But what's the pressure there? Isn't pressure usually like peer pressure? It's like, oh,
Right.
let's go do this fun, cool thing that's going to
peer
make you
pressure.
popular.
I feel like, but society
Who's pressuring somebody, though, to want to transition, as opposed to, like, here's how you cope with it?
Well, I don't even want to say, like, no one's pressuring kids into, like, a transgender thing.
Right.
I think that, once again, it's a choice that they've decided to make. They feel like, hey, I was born.
But doesn't that come back to God? Doesn't that come back to God in as much as, let's say that's 100%. He made this little girl, but inside her, she's got her wires crossed, or whatever
Right.
the technical term would be.
Right.
Whatever makes you female versus male in your head. Wouldn't that have been something that he did, that God did to them, and to give them that version of life? It's a variation. Again, 10% of animals, people, everything is gay. It doesn't feel like a coincidence. So, like,
Well, I mean,
I guess I'm getting to why would somebody choose that when it feels like more like it's just who they are?
Well, from what I believe, number one, animals are not gay. That's just animals being animals in animal kingdom, right? They don't have a sense of gay and straight, and they just.
Well, but some dudes will bang other dudes and won't go near the girls.
We would consider that gay because of what we have defined gay as, right?
Isn't that just homosexuality?
Right, but that's homosexuality amongst human beings, not necessarily in animals, though.
So that there, why
Because
is
that's a,
so it's not a sin in animals? That
no,
feels like
and it's not because
then why
it's
make it?
instinctively in them that how God created them.
They didn't choose to be gay.
Animals.
Yeah.
But you're saying gay, but that's not gay. That's animals being animals, bro. Like and how I view it, that's not animals being gay. Like two gay dudes or two gay horses getting it on. That's animal instinct that they're doing.
Right, but I'm pitching that's the same with humans.
But
it's our instinct. It's not a choice.
Humans have a difference. We have the ability to choose. We don't go and just be with a duck, or like, we can choose to be with a duck or a horse or something like that. Animals are being what animals are doing what animals do.
Right, and I'm saying humans are doing what humans do.
But humans have the option and the choice and the intellect
so does that animal.
To not do that.
That animal could not go over and hump the other pig. I mean, it's still, they're doing it.
I mean, but
it's instinctual, is all I'm saying.
Right. But that's
for us too.
For animals, right? So you're trying to say that it's instinctual for both.
I'm saying like, I don't think that if somebody intelligently created all this stuff, I don't think it was like, here's the set of rules for people. I'm gonna make animals exactly the same percentage of gay, but that's fine. Like, see, it feels like it's people that got involved and told you that gay people are bad. That's my issue with it, is that's where I feel like people got involved in religion and started twisting stuff to make it fit an agenda.
It's also in politics. It's also in our
media. That's all fed via, it all starts somewhere.
Right, so, and
which I wanted to ask you, where did you come into religion? How did that get put into you, so to speak?
I was put into you.
Because it's either I left it up to my kids to decide on their own. I don't want to force what I believe, because that's weird to me, to be like, this is what I think, so you have to think it too. It's like as if I was taking Santa seriously. Mm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I feel like I don't want to do that. Right. If you develop a relationship, I will support you fully, but I'm not going to tell you what mine may or may not be. Mm. You know what I mean? Because again, there's so many religions.
That's love.
There's so many to choose from that were around before Jesus and stuff. So it's like, why were those, like, in theory, you're nearly as atheist as me. Mm. You don't believe in, or I don't believe in one less God, or one more God than you do. There were 3,000 gods in history. I said you're nearly as atheist as me, in the sense that you only believe that one of the 3,000 gods is real, and I believe that all of them aren't.
Yeah.
So you're very close.
I am the opposite of atheist, because I'm mono.
I know, but you're missing my kind of jokey point here, that there were 3,000 gods. You don't believe in 2,999 of them. It's not. That's written down too. How is that any less bullshit than the Bible?
No, I'm saying that's a stretch to say, you're just as much of an atheist.
No, I said you're nearly as, because you're not letting me finish my point. 2,999 out of 3,000 is nearly.
As atheist is still a stretch. I believe in God.
I know, one of the 3,000. I'm saying in terms of gods that have existed, there were 3,000. I don't believe in 3,000 of them. You don't believe in 2,999 of them.
That does not make me atheist.
I said it makes you nearly as atheist.
What does nearly got to do?
What?
I believe in God.
This is nearly in the bottle. That's what it means. It's not in the bottle. It's nearly in the bottle.
So you're saying
there, it's not near. It's not as near.
I am nowhere near. I'm nowhere near an
Again,
atheist.
there's been 3,000 gods. You
Atheists
don't believe in
2,999.
I understand.
So
are we we're losing it on math here. There were 3,000 gods total.
What does it mean to be atheist?
There were 3,000.
What does it mean to be
atheist? I'm getting to it. Let me finish my point. There were 3,000 gods total.
This is not what it means to be
atheist. It is. Because I don't believe in all 3,000.
Atheists don't believe in a God.
I'm getting to that. Can I finish my thought? There's 3,000 gods that have ever existed on paper, right? I don't believe in all 3,000. That makes me an atheist, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now you don't believe in 2,999 of them. All I'm saying is
that
makes
make me?
Huh?
What does that make me?
Nearly an atheist.
No, it doesn't. How does that make me nearly an atheist?
Because the majority of the gods you don't believe in. So you're atheist against 2,999 of them.
It's not that I'm atheist against.
Yes, you are. You don't believe in them?
Other gods.
You don't believe in them?
It's I believe in one, so one.
I get it.
God.
Right.
Right?
We're coming down on the same side of this.
Right? So I'm
but
not
that doesn't mean they don't.
Atheist.
That doesn't mean they didn't exist.
I'm not atheist at all. I'm a believer.
Yes, in one of the 3,000 gods.
But how does that make you an atheist?
It makes me an atheist. Nearly. Because you're that close.
So
if you didn't believe in one, then you're on my team.
All right,
That's all I'm saying.
I'll play your game. So that means that you're nearly a Christian.
Yes. Well, I'm on the opposite end, but yes,
I
I'm
don't want
with
to hear
you.
it. I don't want to hear it.
If I
You're nearly a Christian.
if I believed in one more
You're
God, I
nearly a
would.
Christian.
I'm saying your point. If I believed in one more God, I would be a Christian. I'm
Yeah,
nearly a Christian.
You're nearly there.
Right.
That's cool.
So how does that change what I said? It doesn't.
I said I was going to play your game. So you're
Right.
nearly Christian.
Right, and I agreed with you.
And I'm
because
nearly
all I would
atheist.
have to do is believe in one more God. I wouldn't have to believe in 3,000 of them.
But why do I have to believe in all the other gods?
Why do I have to believe in yours? Is my point.
I'm saying,
how is
why
that
would
not
I
the
have
same
to believe
argument?
in all the other gods, or like decline my God in order for me to now be fully atheist, right? Like, is that what
you would
that
have to not believe in all of them and not believe in yours?
Right,
yes.
right. So, but you said you're more agnostic than you are.
I said
atheist.
I'm open to it in the sense that I'm not so atheist that if God knocked on my door, I'd go, you don't exist. That's what I mean by that.
Like for me, that for me is even arrogant for you to even ask that.
Wait,
out of
what?
all seven,
ask? I didn't ask for anything.
Yes, you did.
I
You
said if he knocked
God
on my
came
door.
and knocked on
That's
my
an
door,
if, not an ask. I didn't say come knock on my door, God.
Right. Oh, what you should. You probably should.
You asked what the difference between my agnostic and atheism.
Yes.
Agnostic is you're open to it, but there's no proof. But you would be open to proof.
Gotcha. And atheist,
I don't believe in it.
Right, but you said you're almost as atheist as I am, and I'm like, no, I mean, you're not.
It's a math joke.
Are you atheists and agnostic at the same time?
What's closer to 3,000? 2,999 or 1?
It doesn't, but once again,
that's math
I
joke,
get what
man.
you're saying, but I'm just
I feel
saying
like you're arguing a math
not,
joke, and it was just a joke.
I am not that, and you clearly said that you're
my
nearly
point was
as
that
atheist
yes,
as I am.
Because my point is that there have been 3,000 gods in history.
That
Why are
doesn't
you so
matter.
arrogant to believe that yours is the real one?
But
that's all I'm getting at.
I'm not being arrogant. I'm
and I don't mean that shitty. I just mean like, why is yours
on what
the
I
one?
believe in, just the same way you would stand on yours, right?
I know, but
so for you to be as arrogant to say that there's no God, I can say that there is.
I don't believe there is one.
Arrogantly, right?
Why is that arrogantly?
The same way you just called me arrogant about.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that arrogant like that. I said, why would your religion be the religion? Why would you arrogantly think that yours, because it's what you believe, why would you think that that's the only one? Yes.
Because Jesus.
All these other people have religions
Jesus,
too. Jewish people, the religion Jesus was in,
because of
that
what
he
Jesus
believed
did,
in. No?
Because of what Jesus
He's not going
did.
to hear me on that?
Yeah, because of what Jesus... You asked me a question, so I'm answering. So because of what Jesus did, and because of who we believe he is, that's why we believe what we believe.
So then how do you dismiss all of the others, I guess? How do you dismiss their... Like, say somebody that's Buddhist had a Jesus-type situation with their religion.
For sure.
How do you discount that wholly because yours is the real one? Why couldn't there be two?
Because there's no other religion that can claim that what Jesus did. No other religion. You can study all 299 of them or whatever. And there's no other. There may be similarities of Jesus in Scripture to the Quran.
But that's not. I'm not asking about Jesus in particular. I'm saying the people that believe those other things for whatever reasons they believe them. Why would you assume because of your beliefs that they're wrong? Like why that's the. I wasn't trying to be provocative when I said arrogant. I meant it in like a. Why are you so confident? Why are you so confident that everybody else is wrong and you're right?
Because
like, and doesn't that feel like something that God wouldn't do? He would be like live and let live, as opposed to.
I think that there's, once again, because you're going to the subject of truth now. There's either, once again, absolute truth, or there's no truth at all. Right? There's your truth, there's subjective truth, but then there's no objective truth. And so if once again, from what I believe, God is absolute truth. Everything he's ever said, everything he's ever done has been absolute truth.
But I could say I believe this is absolute truth. Like you see what I'm saying?
Subjectively for you, yes, I got you.
But subjectively, from my point of view, for you deciding that.
So for me though, once again, I'm not basing this based upon what I'm seeing or logic. I am basing this solely based upon I believe God's manufacturer. Right. So going back to the manufacturer way in which things are programmed, that's where I'm going to go back and I'm going to give my answers.
It's a big assumption, bro. That's a big assumption.
So, but once again, if I don't understand from your standpoint why you would be so anti-God, right?
I'm not anti it. I don't understand why it's...
Based upon proof.
I'm only anti this sentiment that you can't be... a decent person without, I'm trying not to use the word good now, but like you can't be a decent person without God. That's horseshit to me. You can be what
based
we as
upon
people call in our human English language what good means.
right, based
I'm
upon
not
your
talking in
human
godly
logic.
terms because
Right.
that doesn't impact my life. I'm talking
Gotcha.
about people.
But
It
once
feels
again,
very judgy to throw that at people who
are
aren't.
still inherently evil.
So what?
No matter how much good you do.
I know, but nobody's saying that we're not evil. I'm simply saying I don't need a God to be a good person.
For sure.
Yeah, that's
For
all.
sure. For
By
sure.
my terms.
No one's forcing God on you.
Well, but that's what it feels like. It's like
No.
if you don't do God, you're an idiot
Why
and
does it
you're
feel
going
like that?
you're going to hell.
Did I make you feel like that?
Yeah.
Why did I make you feel like
Because
that?
I'm asking you why yours is more important than others who feel the exact same way about their religious beliefs. It would have been more telling if you said, no, I empathize with their beliefs too. They had some stuff come up, but it's like, nah, my way or the highway. And that feels less empathetic than what I get from you in general.
But we're talking about trying to
It's not going to prove you wrong by somebody else having a valid religion.
It's not about, once again, I think that you're missing it, Joe. The point is not to come here and prove anything.
Well, I know, and that's why it doesn't
I
go
have
anywhere
nothing to
with me.
prove. Like you can't.
Well, if I said I can fly,
Yeah.
if I said humans can fly,
Yeah.
and then I told you to prove it when you said humans can't fly, wouldn't that be ludicrous?
No, not necessarily. Because number one, I've never
I'm
seen
making
anybody,
the claim. No,
but-
I'm making a claim,
but I've
and then
also
then I'm asking you to prove it.
But I've never seen anyone fly before.
You've never seen God.
But okay, it gets weird when you start saying.
But you know what I
things like
mean? I'm
this.
not trying to be a dick, but like you've
You're
not
saying-
seen anything. You've felt stuff.
You're talking about once again physical. If God is spirit, like no, you're not going to see a spirit, bro. Like
Right.
you may see Casper, but then what? People would call you crazy, right? You're seeing things.
No, there's no ghosts.
Right.
There's been $1 million bounty since the 70s to
For
prove
sure,
anything
for
supernatural
sure,
and nothing.
For sure, right? And so, but once again, if I've made you feel like it's either God's way or it's no way, I do want you to feel like that. I'm glad that you feel agitated because for you to feel like that means that.
Well, it's a bummer that you're less empathetic than I thought. That's
For
the only agitation I would
I'm
feel
cool
like.
with that because I
don't see how it can
I
be so loving
sympathize.
but it doesn't feel that way when you're talking.
Well, when you bring up the subject of God, that's what it brings because there's a
I
part
know,
of
but
you.
where's the empathy for the others?
There's a part of you that wants everyone to be all inclusive, right? And everyone to all be. This could be right. You could be right over here. You could be right over here.
Well, whatever
for
works
everybody
for
to be able to
people.
do it. Right.
Yeah.
That's what you want. But once again, I'm saying from a default setting, as a manufacturer.
But you're making up. But the point is, you're making that leap from I'm a human to somebody made me. There's no proof of that. You're just deciding that, and I understand why you're deciding that.
Right.
But that doesn't, in the same way, that doesn't make it fact.
Okay.
And you keep referring to the owner's manual, and it's like, but that's not a thing. That you're just using that as an analogy, and I understand the analogy, and I get what you're saying. However, if there's not a creator, what are you following? Like,
But why does that? Why would it even matter for you to be as agitated as you feel?
Wait, what?
Why would it matter for you to be? I guess my question is, then why do you feel a certain type of way of my beliefs?
I don't feel any way of your beliefs.
Why would you say that I feel that I'm less empathetic now?
Because, like I said, a couple examples there where I mention like something that you should, in theory, be open to because you're in it. You're in a religion. So, like, in theory, why would you not respect somebody else's? That's what they believe in, based on their experiences and their teaching.
I never said I disrespected anybody's religion, though.
Well, but you weren't willing to even entertain that they could be right. Like that was where that arrogance thing was.
Right.
I wasn't trying to be inflammatory, I promise. With that, I just mean in the like, I'm so confident I'm right that everybody else is wrong. And like to me, that feels like when society starts to fall down, when people assume they know everything, that's when inherently things start to go bad because now nobody's like trying anymore. We're just phoning it in. And I'm not saying religion does that, but you see my analogy there.
I think that, forgive me if I made it feel as if I don't respect anybody's religion or whatever else they want to do.
Right.
I'm confident in what I believe because we can go through proof and debate all of that stuff. I know
I'm never going to get that. That's sort of why I bring it up because
you feel me?
Because it has to be. The point is, it's a faith.
Yes.
It's not a evidence.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so like that's where it falls apart to me.
But if you were to say, I think the better question would have, I would have wanted you to ask more questions about my
Tell me it
faith.
again. I can ask it again.
Right? Because if you're going to just say, well, based upon you, why do you feel so confidently about this? What have you seen? What have you read?
But I
What
have been
proof?
asking that.
Like, what proof have you seen? Now, once again, but I feel that sometimes your questions are coming with not a sincerity of trying to figure out answer, right? Like, I don't feel like you
Well, I
come
like to poke
these,
holes in stuff because that's how I figure out the truth of something.
but I'm from my thing is that I get that, and God understands that of you. But however, poking holes in things that we don't have answers to is like it doesn't.
But isn't
It's
that
not going to
somebody
bring you that. It's
truth-seeking?
not going to bring you the answer that you're kind of looking
No,
for.
I know. I'm never going to get that answer, which
And
is why it's
so-
not something that comes up in my life because
Right.
I need.
You need practicality,
Yes,
and that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Until you kind of relinquish that, like these conversations are always going to be difficult. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I
Because
enjoy talking. I learn stuff from these. I'm not looking for an argument.
No,
I'm
me
curious.
neither.
I'm curious why. Like how do you end up in the situation you are? It's obviously working for you. Like nobody's shitting on that.
right.
It's not something that ever came up in my life in a meaningful way, but I don't judge myself on it. And I feel like that's where I get upset with religion. It feels like,
It's judging.
yeah.
But okay, so like
And it's like, judge not lest ye be judged.
for sure. But
And it's
I
like,
feel like
it feels a lot like it was like, well, I'm not perfect.
yeah,
God's perfect.
yeah.
But then the non-perfect people are then judging other non-perfect people. And that's the where I have a real problem with religion.
I feel that. I feel
Organized
that. I do too.
religion.
I do too. I agree.
Because who are you? That was what I was trying to say with my mom's story, was that she was going to school and the people that to church, and they were telling her there's no dancing. We don't go out in public wearing this or that, all this stuff. And then she goes to the bowling alley and sees the people dancing
oh, yeah,
that were
you
the
did tell me this
teachers.
story. Yes.
So it's like
bowling was the devil.
It's like
You're going to hell.
Yeah, like it's that hypocrisy where it's like, well, don't sit there and tell me that I'm supposed to do this if you're doing the same thing, but then acting like a good person on Sunday. That doesn't jive with me at all. That's phony as hell, and that's like, I want the respect of being a good religious person, but I'm not going to actually follow through on it.
Yeah, and I apologize too, bro. Like,
no, you don't got to. We just talking.
no,
I'm not offended by anything.
No, I apologize once again on the behalf of Christians because we've once again have misrepresented God because God is not like that. From what we have studied, what we know.
Yeah, dude, no God would have said any of the stuff that lady said to me in that birthing class or that marriage class.
Right.
Bizarre stuff.
Right.
And it's like, that's people getting involved.
That's
and
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so anti that.
So if
that
there was
makes sense.
any way to have that thing but I guess I'm not, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how to ever get to a place where it's like, I used this analogy before, but it's like trying to tell me that 2 + 2 = 5. It's something that I know in my being. Much like the opposite. Like, you can make that work in your head. I don't know how to get there. So it's hard to like fundamentally unlearn something that is in me and go, okay, I'm going to believe this other thing. Like, it's really, and I've tried to make those leaps. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to argue against religion.
Yeah.
I see the benefits of it, but I also see the bad side of it. And I try not to associate my stuff with myself with stuff that can end up making you look bad. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
But man, I don't know where I was going.
No,
with that.
I like it, bro. I love that you're being honest, and I appreciate you for like even admitting, like, listen, bro, like, no one's trying to force God on you. No one's trying to make you, hey, believe what I want you to believe, right?
I'd love for that to just be in my head, and it's
Like,
because when I was a kid and it was told to me, in the same way that Santa, it was there.
There's belief,
It was like, oh, okay, I could look
People
up at night and say something, or you know what I mean? Oh, I'm
People
going to
ruin
heaven.
Things, bro, we do.
Yeah.
We've made a bad representation. So that's once again like and I don't want you to take this the wrong way.
The good thing is that both of us, I think, our goals are positivity.
Yeah, right. Like,
Which is why I feel so bummed out by this, because it felt like, and I know you're not, but it felt very much like you're going, well, you can't be good without God. Like, and I took that to mean in life, like just in general, like I can't do anything good unless I'm seeking that connection. And to me, that feels like, well, And then when you ask, well, what are you supposed to do? Then it's like all these moving goalposts where it's like, oh, well, you got to be good, but you're not actually good. You know what I mean?
It
like
felt
it's
confusing.
Yeah,
Okay,
just tell me the steps.
I think once again,
I need a 12-step program.
But that's what I was trying to communicate was to you that it's not about once again being good. It's about knowing God.
But so then what? Again, serious question. What would somebody be feeling that they would? How do you know that? Like, what did you? Well, because you had it already when you were a kid, right? So you grew up religious, right?
Yeah, but I had to. Yes.
So it wasn't like at some point you were just like, okay, I'm going to believe this thing now. Mm-hmm. You kind of always believed it.
Yeah, I mean, I was raised in that household.
So how as somebody who never had that, how would you feel a whole? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? It's a hard question to ask, but how would you feel that there's something missing, and what would that even because everybody's got that, even if they are religious. You still have stuff that's missing in your mind, and it's not God related necessarily. You know what I mean? So like, how do you know that like that's the missing piece?
I would just, once I think I would go back
because you just got saved, so you should be able to tell me.
For sure,
we got to wrap it up here soon. So that was my way. I got to leave in like 3 minutes.
This is great, dude. We need to do this again.
I'm happy to talk. There's so many things we could talk about. Like,
I think that, okay.
Because, dude, this conversation 10 years ago, you would have left. We would not have been friends afterwards because at the time, I was so arrogant and thinking that I know everything. That's why I'm willing to, that's why even if I was religious, I wouldn't be able to go out there and tell people there's a God. Because what if it's not? You know what I mean? And like, I would hedge my bets there.
But see, that's the thing is like, we think differently. Right. So my thing wouldn't
because you know it, and I can't get there.
My mind wouldn't go to, what if there's not a God? My mind would be like, what if this is true?
I'm a worst case scenario prepper. That's why I always think, what's the worst case scenario here, and I prepare for that. Well, then if anything good happens, it's a bonus.
Well, for me, like that's what I'm saying. Like in Scripture, and then like in Scripture, the worst thing that can happen for somebody is for them not to accept Christ. That's the worst case scenario for them. It's not even about if God is not real, right? If He's not real. It's about if they never come into a relationship with Christ and allow Christ to begin to help that nature.
But if he's not real, then what are they connecting with?
Okay, but if you're saying that if he's not real, but if he is real.
No, I understand that if he is real, but I'm saying if he isn't real, what are people connecting to then?
Then if it's just
if it turns out to be nothing,
it turns out it
was a way to make you feel better about your life, and
we've lost nothing.
Right.
But if you even look at what Christ kind of taught in Scripture, right? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. If everybody in the world exemplified those 9 attributes, we'd be perfect. But we don't.
I'm good with kindness is magic, and you know that WWJD bracelet. I always thought religion could be boiled down to this: don't be a dick.
Yeah.
If the thing you're about to do is something a dick would do, don't do it.
But then the world would come in and be like, well, then what is classifies as a dick? Like, what is?
Oh, it's very subjective, but we'll leave that on a per cases basis.
Yeah, per cases basis. But yeah.
On that note, I don't know why you listen to this whole thing. Don't ever podcast.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm gonna listen to it.
Yeah, why? Let's go.
All these memories in my mind, my mind. I'm still a secret lemonade drinker.